There we go. Welcome, everybody. Yay. Hi, Val Williams. How lovely to see your face. Hi, Lucy. Your smiling face always. And Anne. Hi, Anne and Anna and Lonnie. It's always great to see everybody. Let me see. Welcome, everyone. There we are. Now I have you on gallery so I can look at all of you before we get started. Yeah, hi. Hi. I'm so glad you're here. Let's see how many people need to clear clutter from their lives. A few of you, right? Like, oh, yes. Well, I'm going to start today's talk in an unusual way when it comes to the conversation about clutter, and we'll see where it goes. I know where I'm going to start. I don't know, and I know where I'm going to start. I know where I'm going to end up. I made a decision a few days ago that I was going to tackle this clutter clearing, clutter-free living in our wisdom years in a bit of a different way than you might typically hear. Hopefully it inspires you to make some changes. And then, so we'll see what the middle ends up being like. But thank you, everybody, for being here again with me. I so appreciate it. And let's get started, shall we? So let's start by just becoming present. How about that? Let's see if we can get our nervous systems like kind of a bit regulated. So the way to do that is to close your eyes we're just going to do this for a few minutes. Just close your eyes, get comfortable wherever you are. Allow yourself to be uninterrupted, at peace. Don't be doing other things while you're doing this. Give yourself the gift of your own attention. Imagine that, right? And just start to breathe in a way that feels comfortable to you. I would encourage you to breathe through your nose and extend your exhale because that is what helps the body to start calming down. And you can just notice as you tune in, notice where your nervous system is, whether you feel a kind of mobilizing energy running through your body, or if you feel the opposite, sort of tired and a little foggy and um, low key. Just notice where your nervous system is. If you feel tired, kind of logy and a little foggy, then you might want to be a little more vigorous with your breath. You can still breathe in and out through your nose, but you might not want it to be as slow as those of you who feel more mobilizing energy in your body. If you want to calm down, if you want to just lower the energy level in your nervous system, then just start to slow your breath down and extend the exhale through the nose. Because when you do that, you engage the parasympathetic nervous system and you start to get more and more relaxed, which is an awesome thing, an awesome place to be in. Unless, of course, you're dorsal dysregulated, in which case you need to wake up. You need to come on back. All right. Feel your body in the chair or on the floor, wherever you are. Feel your feet wherever they are. Imagine bringing your energy back into your body, coming home to yourself. Okay. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes and smile. Did you know that smiling helps to regulate your nervous system? If you might remember in some of the other Zoom gatherings I've held, I talked about how 80% of what's happening in the body, 80% of the nervous system communicates from the body to the brain. The brain gets the message, then the mind gets on board and starts telling stories, right? So what that means is the way to regulate the nervous system is to start, an easier way to regulate the nervous system is to start with the body. If you smile or yawn, like yawning is good if you've got too much mobilizing energy. Rachel, I just saw you yawning. That was great. And That's why the breath is so helpful. When we start to increase the breath, it can mobilize our energy, bring us more into the present moment, or the opposite, slowing it down. So it's good to think about starting with the body as a way to regulate your nervous system so you can be more present for clutter-free living. So here's how I want to begin. Many years ago, when I was traveling around teaching, I had the pleasure of speaking at events with a good friend of mine, Dr. Bruce Lipton. Bruce had written a book at the time called Biology of Belief, and he was really introducing the whole field of epigenetics to people. And the field of epigenetics is about how our genes, what science has discovered over the last, I don't know when, maybe a couple of decades, I could be wrong. I should have looked that up. That would have been a good thing to ask ChatGPT. When was epigenetics brought to the world? But epigenetics is the study of how our environment influences gene expression. So in other words, it used to be that we thought in medicine that we had genetic predispositions to certain things, right? Many of you have heard like, oh, I have a genetic predisposition to heart disease or cancer or breast cancer or whatever. What we've discovered since then is, in fact, your environment influences the genes that turn on and off. So I remember one day Bruce and I were talking, we were traveling somewhere, and I said to him, and I had read The Biology of Belief, was fascinated by some of the stories in there. And I remember saying to Bruce, you know, as I look at this, and this was very early in the field of epigenetics, I said, when I look at this, I realize that it's almost like, first of all, I remember saying to him, it's like each one of us are little cells in this environment called the world, right? And we're all influenced by each other. And our genetic expression is influenced by each other. I mean, it kind of makes sense. I said to Bruce, gosh, you really could think of like the whole world as like a giant body, and we're individual cells in this body, and we have a direct impact on each other. And he said, yeah, you're kind of right. That's exactly how you could think about it. But when we drilled down, what we realized, what I realized, he already got this, was that if your environment influences what your genes do, which genes turn on, which genes turn off, then what does that actually mean in terms of the defining of the environment? We typically think of the body, right? So what I eat will turn on or off genes, how well I eat, how frequently I move, how well I breathe, right? The environment of the body influences our genetic expression. If we move out from the body, we can then say that the body's energy field, which is a real thing, that's not a woo-woo thing, the body has an energy field around it. We are actually energy beings. Electromagnetic energy is a force in the universe. If we move out to the energetic field, what influences our energetic field influences gene expression. So I think about having dinner in a noisy restaurant where there's so much noise going on that you have to work really hard to hear the person you're having dinner with. And I can actually feel it as an assault on my energetic body. I feel it as an assault on my physical body as well, but I can feel how it's, you know, impacting me out and around. So that environment is impacting not only my physical body, but my energetic body as well. Both of those things are influencing my genetic expression. Now, I have known for decades the power that our physical environment has on us. I don't know why. I've just always, I like visual clarity. I like order. It makes my mind feel more ordered. It doesn't mean I always have order, but I've always really noticed the influence of my physical environment. So if how we eat, how we move, how we breathe, the amount of light we get, the amount of sleep we get, all of those factors influence the genetic expression in the body. What also influences the genetic expression are the people that we hang out with, right? The environments that we live in and the environments that we work in. So when I think about clutter-free living, I see it as a powerful method for supporting positive, healthy genetic expression. Because most people are so unaware of how they're being influenced by their physical environment. Now I can show you how you are. You all know this. How many of you, and you can hit the raise hand button if you want, which is under react. At least today it's under react. I feel like Zoom changes things all the time. Or you can raise your physical hand. But how many of you can think about a place in your home, let's just say in your home, that feels cluttered and feel some anxiety sort of, yeah, feel like anxiety kind of come up in your body, right? Yes, look at all these hands. Exactly. So what do we think is happening when we're exposed to that area and we feel that nervous system dysregulation, let's just call it, in some capacity? That's influencing our genetic expression. It's actually influencing our health. So, and if I asked many of you, you don't even have to see it for it to bother you. If I asked you to just think about it, it would bother you, right? So I'm starting with epigenetics because I really want you to understand the importance of self-care as a form of tending to your physical environment, the environment in which you live. It is a powerful form of self-care to decide to create. I'm generally going to call it a clutter-free environment. Ideally, I would call it a beautiful environment for your soul to live. Like that's really what we're aiming for. Usually the way we get to that place is by first eliminating things from our lives. I got distracted for a moment. We first eliminate stuff from our lives in order to create a great foundation for beauty. And for a lot of people, the space alone creates more beauty in their environment. So why is this important in our wisdom years? Because for a few reasons. Number one, we've got a limited amount of time left. Why not enjoy the time you have left? Why give any of your energy, this precious thing called your energy, to stuff that you can't take with you, stuff that will be handled by other people when you're gone, stuff that, I'm sorry to tell you, much of which won't really matter to people when you're gone. If anything, it will become clutter in their lives. And they'll wrestle with, what do I do with it now that mom is gone or dad is gone? Oh my God, I feel so guilty. I can't throw away these pictures. So now we've got generational energy stealing, right? Because you're not only getting your own energy stolen, but now we're, stealing the energy of those who come after us. So you've got a limited amount of time, you've got a limited amount of energy. And we have to face the reality that at the end of the day, the stuff in your life is costing you more than it's giving you. The stuff that you really don't absolutely love and derive joy from or absolutely need is costing you a lot. And it's costing you your physical health, because that's the other reason as we get older, we want to do everything we can to stay healthy and mobile, not because we want to live forever, but because we want to really enjoy this adventure called life. And as just yesterday, I had to have blood work drawn for my annual physical. And it turned out that the place that I was sent to was inside of a local hospital. And when I got there and I saw, people in wheelchairs and everybody looked miserable. And I thought, if anything, even before the worry of being immobile or being sick, I don't want to get caught up in that system. Talk about nervous system dysregulation, right? Like most of us don't want to get caught up in that system. So anything we can do to improve our health and to give our genetic expression its best chance of supporting us in healthy, vibrant living, anything we can do is absolutely worth the investment. So in a lot of ways, I think of the wisdom years as a time when we start to remove things from our life. It's like we pare down. we thin out. We start to remove things from our lives so that we can just enjoy what's left behind, because what's left behind is usually a peaceful you and only the things that really matter to you. So when Bruce and I were talking that time, and I said to him, my goodness, Bruce, so what you're saying is the state of my finances, the state of my marriage, the state of my friendships, the state of my bedroom, the state of my front hall closet, the state of my basement or my attic, the state of my back deck, my yard, all of these things, all of these environments are directly helping to determine which genes will turn on and which genes will turn off. And he said, that's exactly right. And we have the scientific evidence to prove it. Of course, medicine doesn't talk about these other things. You know, many years ago, I was invited to speak at a medical conference at Duke University. This was after I had supervised a team of coaches, medical professionals who had been part of a study to look at the influence of group coaching on outcomes for their patients. And we had worked on this study for a year, and I had supervised the group of coaches as we were going through. We took baselines of everyone's health when they first started in the program, certain baselines like, you know, blood pressure, certain blood work, galvanic skin response, stress, cortisol levels, things like that. We studied we captured all of that in the beginning and then looked at it at the end. And of course, the results were exactly what I knew it was going to happen, was that people being part of a group and being coached on a regular basis dramatically improved their results at the end of a year, dramatically improved their health. But I had been asked to speak at this conference, a medical conference, to talk about coaching, the impact of coaching. And I remember I was the only non-medical doctor. I was probably the only person in that whole conference center that didn't have a college degree. So I was really nervous because I was around a lot of PhDs and MDs. But what I did know was the influence on people's environments and how it influenced their mental, emotional, and physical health. And it turned out that they made me one of the last keynote speakers. And I remember being really nervous, you know, like the kind of nervous when your lips are sticking to your teeth and you think, oh, I should have put like Vaseline or something. But once I got into it, I remember saying to the audience, and this was an audience of medical professionals, I remember saying to them, you know, you can diagnose a patient with heart disease and send them home and tell them they have to eat right and exercise. But if you don't ask them about the state of their financial health, you won't find out that they're in debt up to their eyeballs, chronically stressed every single day, worrying how they're going to feed their family. And that tension is influencing their genetic expression. And if you don't deal with that first, the chances are they're never going to eat well or exercise because they're eating to regulate their nervous system. I didn't say that back then, but now I know that. They're eating to regulate their nervous system. You know, they're eating to like calm themselves down, let's just say. And they're not moving because they don't have time. They're too busy worrying. Or I remember saying to this room, if you have a woman that comes in and she's struggling with fibromyalgia or chronic fatigue, and you talk to her about her chronic pain, you give her some medication, you tell her she needs to rest more, like whatever the typical prescription for health would be, but you don't ask her about the community and the connections she has in her life, you won't find out that she has a hoarding problem, has very little space available in her home, and is too embarrassed to have anybody in her home. Therefore, she is isolated and alone. And that's what's going to contribute. And she lives in a chronic state of resentment because everybody's trying to change her and she can't change. If you don't deal with those issues first, then you set people up to fail. Does that make sense to everybody? Right? And I remember the chancellor of the school coming up to me afterwards and saying to me, I had no idea that this is a way we needed to think about our patients. And of course, you know, if anything, our medical system now has far less time, money, and energy to be addressing this. So that's why I'm talking to all of you. And you're all smart enough to be listening to this kind of a conversation. So let me think for a second. There's something I wanted to say, and let me see if I can call it back. Oh, okay. I'm going to write it down. I'm not going to talk about it right now, but I do want to mention it at some point. Okay, so clutter-free living in our wisdom years. I want to just like, I bring up the whole conversation of epigenetics because I'm trying to drive home the point that this is a really, the clutter in your home isn't just an inconvenience. It deserves your time, your attention. It deserves to be a priority. And when you tend to it, there are a lot of things that happen. First of all, you feel more peaceful. You feel clearer minded. You get so excited. I mean, how many of you have ever cleaned out a closet and gone back to look at it multiple times? Yeah, because it feels so good. That's not just a mental thing, people. Energetically, it infuses you with energy when you create space in your life. You remember in this week's blog when I talked about cleaning out my armoire, the big cabinet that I have in my living room, which used to be my office. It has been, so that blog I had written last year and I reran it this time. So it's been over a year. It is still maintained perfectly clean and spacious until this day when I go into it, which is pretty much every day. I swear to you, I spontaneously smile. I'm like, oh, I love this cabinet. I love all of my necessities, like all the things I absolutely need and the few things that I love that I kept in there. So it's not only no longer draining my energy, but it's giving me energy every single day. That's what I want for all of you. So there was two things I wanted to start with. Epigenetics was one. Here's the second one. Cold plunging. Here's what I learned about clutter clearing from cold plunging. And this is really important. And there's no multiple steps to this. I don't even want to get into like over explaining it. All I want to say to you is this. When you get to a point in your wisdom years, you must make peace with the reality that you are going to be scared shitless with some of the things you're going to get rid of, and you have to get rid of them anyway. And I say that intentionally. Like, there are things that you hold on to, and you hold on to them because you don't want to confront the emotions they bring up or the fear. Let's just talk about fear for a minute. Oh, I can't get rid of all these notes from all these classes I took. What if I need them someday? Hello, we have the internet, we have Chat GPT. I mean, let's use this damn technology to our advantage, people. At some point in your wisdom years, just like I wrote about in my blog, you have metabolized so much information, so many experiences. You have so much experience. Trust yourself and be willing to risk taking that leap. That's why I think of cold plunging. It is scared, like I was scared shitless the first time I jumped in the ocean in January here in the Northeast when it was freezing cold and windy out and snowing. Okay. But how I felt afterwards was so worth it. The first time was the hardest. Every time was hard, by the way, and every time still is, even when I get in my cold tub every day. But I do it because it has taught me that sometimes you just have to take the plunge and let go of things and just wait for the peace to show up on the other side. Too many of us struggle with, oh, I can't let go of these pictures. So take a digital photo and then let go of them. Or, I have a very dear friend of mine who's been an unbelievable family doctor for 50 years, 50 years, old-fashioned family doctor. Come to your home, knows your whole family, holds you by the hand. I mean, the kind of doctor we'd all like absolutely love to have. She's retiring. It's time. She's in her 80s. And she's in the process of shredding patient files because she needs to do that, right? And she said to me, in the beginning, it was really hard for me. She said, I felt like I was shredding the lives of the people I have known for decades. She said, and I understand why I kept putting it off. When she described it that way, I thought, well, no kidding. We have so many distractions in the world right now that there are plenty of things that will pull our attention away from that kind of discomfort when we have to confront difficult emotions. When I went through my armoire, I had to go through a bucket of cards from my mother, cards from my father, Did it bring up grief? Yes, it did, especially my mother, since she just died in September. But I sat there and I cried and I went through them and I only saved the few most precious ones. Yes, everything felt precious, but I know better. My life is more precious. My energy is more precious. And trust me, if my mother were here, she'd be saying, my mother was a shredding queen before she died. Every time I'd see her, she'd say, "Oh, I just shredded it." I'm like, Mom, wait. Like, there might be some things us kids would like, nah, you don't want my stuff. I go, well, we might. She was shredding all my father's stuff when he died. I'm like, wait, Mom. So I come by it honestly, I guess. I'm not that much of a crazy shredder, but if she were here, she would say to me, "Cheryl, I'm with you all the time. Get rid of the stuff so you can be present for me." So you're going to have to deal with, you're going to have to metabolize the emotions that come up when you're going through certain things. Allow yourself to feel whatever you feel and get rid of stuff anyway. And yes, you can do it in stages. You can do like one little box at a time. There's nothing wrong with that as long as you, excuse me, as long as you keep doing it. And given how important, given the impact of stuff, too much stuff, clutter has on our emotional, physical, mental, spiritual health, it deserves to be a priority in your life. This is the other thing that happens. So first of all, we want to avoid uncomfortable emotions. So that's why we keep putting it off. Oh, I don't want to deal with that. And sometimes we're not even conscious of the emotions attached to the clutter. We're unconsciously aware of it, which is why people say things to me like, I don't know why I just can't do it. I don't know why I keep saying I'm going to do it and I just don't do it. Yeah, because some part of you probably knows what you're going to need to confront. Um, so there's the fear of the emotions, there's the distraction of life, and there's this belief that somehow releasing clutter from your life is like a side gig, like something you only are supposed to do when you've got an extra few minutes. Well, here's what I want you to know. When you start to eliminate clutter from your life, when you create more space in your life, you automatically start to feel more peaceful every single day. You start to naturally pull away from the people who drain your energy and move toward the people who give you energy, the mutual relationships. You buy less stuff because you stop and you think before you buy something. You know what? Do I really, like I just went through all that other, do I really want to do this? Like all of my girlfriends now in my little soul family, we try to give each other things. It's a pain in the ass because nobody wants to take anything anymore. They're like, no, 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 we're all paring down, remember? But I fill up thrift stores and Goodwill and you know what? And I've sat in those places and watched the people come in and seen their excited faces at the stuff that they are able to purchase for really inexpensive prices. And I think, good, let's give them more gifts. So you have more peace. You start to naturally let go of people in your life. Um, you, I like to call it, what is it? Like I have the 5 Ps: more peace, more prosperity in the form of time, space, and money, by the way. More people who are aligned with your desire to live a more peaceful, clutter-free life. More pleasure because you're not constantly, oh, what's a good word? Not just irritated, but you're not constantly tortured by the stuff in your life because it's sucking your energy, whether you realize it or not. So more pleasure and more play, more time for play. The 5 Ps: peace, prosperity, people, pleasure, and play. And there's certainly a whole bunch of other benefits. So how do we do it? First of all, I just want to say when I think about clutter, I think about the stuff, physical clutter. I also think about people. There are some people in your lives who are constantly critical, who chronically drain your energy, who just dysregulate you on a regular basis, who are uninvested in self-awareness and growing and evolving. I have no judgments against those people. All I'm saying is some of us have people in our lives and we keep them in our lives because we feel bad about, we don't know how to let the relationship go. We feel bad about letting them go. Um, and you can go back and listen to the Zoom gathering we did on friendships and on navigating relationships, the last Zoom gathering we did. Re-listen to some of those. It could be helpful. So people, stuff, and also engagements. Many of us have too much clutter in our calendars. Too many volunteer activities, too many helping this one, helping that one, too much news as clutter, just too much information, too much digital clutter, too many photographs. How many of you have over 20,000 photographs in your computer? Mm-hmm. Yep. So, and by the way, when I think about people and clutter, I don't just think about people that I spend physical time with. I also think about people that I think about all the time. Start to notice how often your thoughts are related to other people, that you're thinking about other people. You're taking up brain space. You're arguing with other people. You're helping other people in your head. You're having conversations with other people. You're strategizing for other people. You're coaching other people in your head. Anybody do that? Right? Yeah. You're revisiting old conversations you had, like clutter, 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 clutter. So, but how do we start? So, I would start with the area that you feel is most responsible for dysregulating your nervous system. And you may or may not be able to see it. So, are you too busy? Does your calendar need to be decluttered? Is there a room in your home that you spend a lot of time with, or in your office that you spend a lot of time with at work, that constantly, you just feel the dysregulation of that clutter as frequent, more frequently than others? Maybe you have a basement filled with your parents' stuff. How often do you think about that basement, right? Or that attic? How often do you find yourself thinking about things is just as much an energy suck as looking at them and berating yourself for not straightening it out? So what's the area that's most responsible for the dysregulation? That's number one, identifying, okay, where am I going to start? And I'm just going to start there. And I am going to start small because one of the ways we stop ourselves is thinking, I've got to get the whole room cleaned. Like I wrote in my blog, I started with one shelf on the in the armoire in my office. And I started with the easiest shelf. And when that was done, I had momentum. Then I went to the second shelf just because I had the energy for it. And I stopped there so that I didn't burn myself out. But the next day I went back. So picking the one area. The second thing that if you really want to improve your chances of success, get a buddy. Find somebody in your life who wants to do a little clutter clearing as well, and make a commitment to a very specific action at a very specific time where you're going to start going through clutter. And remember this mantra. I want you to write this down. Everybody write this down. And Terry, you can put it in the chat so we'll have it in the transcript. When in doubt, throw it out. Now, when I say throw it out, that means donate, recycle. Obviously landfill's the last place, but when in doubt, throw it out. I used to have a little sign in my office that said, when in doubt, throw it out. And you can think of that with email, with digital clutter as well as physical clutter. So when you're going through things, and you feel that angst, I promise you, you're going to gain momentum as you let go of things. It's going to get easier and easier. And I don't know about you, but there are some days where I'm more in the mood to get rid of things than others. And when I'm on that day where I'm in the mood to get rid of things, that's when I start looking around the house for stuff to let go of. Because I can feel it. It's like, oh, I'm so sick of all of this stuff. Let it be a treasure for someone else. That's what I say to myself. You're worried about this vase that you've loved for 20 years that you haven't used in 5. Let it be somebody else's treasure. Get rid of it. Put it in the box. I keep a box in my front hall closet. And every time I come across something that I haven't used in a long time that I no longer love, it goes automatically in the box in a closet so I don't look at it. I don't see it again. So finding a buddy. And, I thought before this this Zoom gathering, I thought, oh, wouldn't there be a way if I could like connect you all with a buddy? I couldn't come up with a way, but who knows? I may at some point do that, figure out a way to do it. But finding somebody in your life. And, I will say that when we open the chat up, which we will, Terry, in just a little bit, a few minutes. Well, let's open it up. Well, no, let's not open it up. I'm going to finish real quick. And then when I start talking to people, we can open it up because if you want a buddy, put your email address in there. And if you see an email address and you want a buddy, just say to that person, I'll buddy with you. And then the two of you can connect with one another. I know it's kind of clunky, but what the hell? Let's give it a shot. So pick the area that's most dysregulating you, get a buddy. And then number 3 is schedule time in your calendar to work on this space. Remember what it means to your physical, emotional, spiritual health to eliminate clutter. It is worthy of dedicated time in your calendar. What's really great is if you can use the benefit of automaticity and pick the same time every week that you'll dedicate to eliminating clutter in your life. The mind loves automaticity. You don't have to think about it too hard. You automatically, pretty soon your mind's naturally going to turn towards, oh, this afternoon is clutter clearing time. Tonight is clutter clearing time. I'm going to do it an hour before I go to bed. And it's going to go into a box hidden someplace that I'm not going to revisit. Knowing that you are dramatically improving the quality of your life, not to mention your genetic expression by doing this. So you're going to schedule time and then you're going to take action. And here's the way I thought we'll finish out today after, at the end of this. I'm willing to say that we can all meet here again next Wednesday at 3:00. And I would love for each of you to commit to some space that you're going to declutter between now and then, put it in the chat box, and then you can come back next week and we'll celebrate and talk about what the experience was like. Just to give you a sense of accountability and an opportunity. Does that sound like a good plan? Would that be like helpful to people? Yeah, good. Okay, great. So let's do that. So scheduling a time, let's make it a game. Let's make it a game. All right, how can we make this a game? This is what my first coach used to do with me when we had to do hard things. Okay, the deal is whatever clutter you eliminate has to leave your home by next Wednesday. Okay, so it has to leave your home. And I'm going to say that the 5 people who show up and have gotten rid of the most clutter in the week, I will invite to a private group coaching session with me. How's that? We'll do like a private Zoom coaching session to help you continue on. So we'll choose 5 people. God only knows how we're going to do that. But we will. I'll figure it out. But I really want to inspire you. I could send you my books or something like that, but don't you think it would be more fun to do like a small group coaching session together? Yeah. Okay, great. So the 5 of you who get rid of, now please don't freak yourself out, people. Don't be like, oh my God, I'm going to get rid of 3 bedrooms worth of stuff. Let's not go a little crazy here. But the way we're going to measure that is, I'm going to figure that out. When we hear, I'm going to have you report in via chat next week. We'll open the chat up early. Terry, will you remind me of that? We'll open the chat up early so you can report in. And then I'll do my best to pick 5 people and, or maybe I'll have Terry do it while I'm talking. That way I don't have to feel the pressure. Yeah, Terry, we just talked about how unflappable you are. So I'll have Terry go through and yeah, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to have Terry pick the 5 people. Terry's wonderful, so don't be mad at her. But she'll pick the 5 people as she goes along. And Terry's really wise. So she's going to pick the 5 people that she knows based on what they did are meant to be in that group. So, okay. So let's open it up for questions. We can open the chat so you can share your email address if you want a buddy. And let's start with some questions. And Elise, I don't know if you still had your hand up or if you have a question. So I'm gonna ask you to unmute and you can let me know. Oh, maybe not. Okay, there we go. What about Becky? Did you have a question, Becky? Okay, nope. Natalie, I know you just raised your hand for a question. Yes, I'm asking you to unmute.
Okay. Hi, Cheryl. This is quite a challenge. I'm known as sort of the sentimental person in my family, so people dump stuff on me and it's hard for me to say no. So this is a real challenge. I think I really need this.
Okay, can I just say, I want to say something to you, Natalie,
Yeah.
for the benefit of everybody and you. People don't dump stuff on you. You accept people's stuff that they dump,
Yes.
right? It's really
Because
important.
maybe it was my parents or, I just, yeah.
And
Um,
I get that. So sentimentality is a real thing. And there are certain Enneagram types that are more sentimental than others.
oh,
I can be pretty sentimental, but I've learned to be more kind of a badass
yeah.
as I've gotten older because this is my life. I'm 65. I don't know how many
Yeah.
years I have left. I don't
Hmm.
need everybody's stuff. Pick one thing from each of the things because remember I wrote a blog a long time ago about having a giant bowl of sea glass that I never could see because there was so much sea glass. And then a friend of mine said, "Oh, we have some ladies who make jewelry out of sea glass and they sell it to support themselves." And I went, "Great." And I picked like 5 pieces of sea glass out of that big jar, and I had sentimental feelings for a lot of it. And I look at them every day. They sit on my office desk in a beautiful little bowl. So, one or two things, Natalie, is what
Can I ask you, Cheryl, have you ever regretted something though, like that you gave something away and you think in like afterwards, oh, I really regret that. Like I really either you needed it later, right? Like, and then had to buy it again, or like, do you
oh
ever
my
regret?
God, can you imagine that, people? Oh my God, what if it meant so much that I had to buy it again? That would be like, oh, Natalie, I don't know. Yes, Natalie, I have.
Yeah.
Maybe a total of 5 times in my whole last few
Hmm.
decades. And that's going to happen. And guess what? I'm still alive talking to you.
Hmm.
I'm still here. I mean, we still live through things like that. Like, think about that. Think about how all of us are under that spell of, oh, what if I regret it? You know what you're really saying when you say that?
Hmm.
What we're saying is, I'm afraid of the voice in my head that's going to berate me when I find out that I actually needed something that I gave away.
Hmm.
Like I'm afraid of what I'm going to say to myself, do to myself, or whatever. So let's decide right now, Natalie, that you are going to gratefully like pick and choose, like say to your family, hey, I'm getting rid of this whole table full of photos. You're welcome to come over and go through them. At 5 o'clock, they're going in a bag and they're going into recycling. Take digital photos of whatever you want, and then we're having a big throwaway party or like whatever you're going to
Yeah.
do with it. Um, and you're going to decide right now that I will never beat myself up for a regret. I'll live to tell the story.
Okay.
Nothing you lose related to stuff will ever kill you.
Hmm.
What
Okay.
will kill you is all the clutter you hold on to in your life that is constantly dysregulating your nervous system and affecting your genetic expression. That could kill you.
Hmm.
I mean,
Thank you.
you're very welcome. You're very welcome.
Great. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Thanks. Um, Hi, Anna. I'm asking you to unmute. Hi there. There you
Hi,
go. Hi.
thank you. This is amazing. I
Good.
cannot believe how good this Zoom session is. Um,
So glad.
and I thought I was pretty good at decluttering things, but I still have a few things to go through. Pictures for sure,
Yep.
and some objects that are connected to a trip to an exotic place that I got from a little store and had a nice conversation with the
Yes. Okay, can
gentleman.
I say something about that,
Yeah.
Anna? Okay, this is also really helpful. This is the other thing we want to look at. When there are things we hold on to because they trigger beautiful memories from the past. And again, when I always think in terms of the Enneagram, there are certain past-oriented types for which that's more important than present and future oriented types. So I just, a lot of you don't even know what I mean when I say that, but I feel like a responsibility to say that out loud. When you hold on to things because they're connected to some beautiful memory in the past, the
Right.
question you have to ask yourself is, what do I need to do to create more beautiful memories now? Because what I'm doing is I'm getting juice from the past at the expense of aliveness now. Does that make sense to people?
Good point.
Like many of us can actually go back in time and relive by looking at an object. Oh, I remember when I bought this lipstick. Oh, I was 5 years younger. No, I wasn't 5 years younger. That would be too old. But you know, we go back in time and we remember these beautiful experiences. And what I would be saying to myself is, oh, what is that memory of that beautiful experience trying to tell me about what I need to do now in my life? What beautiful experience am I longing for that I'm getting a hit of by holding on to that past object when in fact, I need to create a new beautiful experience in the present. And it starts with space. Does that make sense, Anna?
It does. It
Okay.
does. Even though I have learned that it's not such a bad thing to look at an object that
It's
brings
not.
a beautiful memory.
I have a whole display case of objects in my
Okay.
office
Okay.
that I absolutely love. And at least every 6 months, I look through it. And if there's anything that I don't absolutely love anymore, I give it away as a gift.
Great. And I have one more point. I've always been very neat in my life to the point in which people jokingly say that I am a little OCD.
Yeah.
Like, for example, when I cook, I have to clean after myself every time I drop something or I have a little mess on the counter. And
Yeah.
they make fun of me because of that. But I have experience, and I'm glad you brought up at the beginning, you know, the connection with Dr. Lim. I've always felt I cannot function in a cluttered, untidy environment.
Yeah.
So I would come home from work super tired, but I wouldn't be able to do anything until everything was put away. And
Well, yeah, so there's two things I would say about that. So we could say that your nervous system needs space, needs order in order to feel okay. But when you say I come home from work tired, but then I have to put it, what that tells me is it's potentially an overactive sympathetic nervous system that needs to learn to just relax. Um, Otherwise, you're basically pushing yourself beyond what your body needs. And I'd go back and listen to some of the earlier Zoom gatherings about nervous system regulation. Check out Deb Dana's book, get the nervous system workbook from Sounds True that she did. That will really teach you and I would tell the people in your life that make fun of who you are to knock it off. It's just not okay. No, it's not funny. It's like, knock it off. The next time somebody says that, you just say to them, you know what, I've never said this to you before and I love you, but when you say that it really bothers me, could you not say that again and do it with a smile on your face? Could you not say that again? Thank you. Oh, and if you do, I'll remind you about this conversation.
great, thank
Okay?
you.
You're very welcome. You're very welcome. Gale 4, I wanted to say Gale Force Wind. Hey, Gale.
There was a time when my workplace accidentally gave me business cards that said Gale Force instead of, so it's been fun. Ideally, I live up. I also live in the land of details, precision, focus. I'm enthralled with everything you say and your presence. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
So to that end, when you said, when in doubt, throw it out, perhaps consider moving that word to move. When in doubt, move it out, because throw out conjures trash.
Yes.
And you've talked about how emotionally connected, and I believe we all are to most of these things, that we don't have to trash it, literally, to part with it.
I think that's a really great suggestion. I love that. So when in doubt, move it out. Let's change that, cross out throw and put move. Thank you, Gail. It's a great.
I wish the whole rest of the world would respond instantly in that well to my suggestions, but but the fact that you have means the world to me. Thank
Oh,
you.
you're very welcome. Are you kidding? I have learned my lesson over the years that, the more you know, the more you know you don't know. And never, never bite the hand of a gift being given to you. So thank you very much, Gail. I appreciate that. All right, Jennifer, you're up. Hi. Unmute yourself, girl. There you go. Keep trying. Keep trying.
All right, there we go.
Oh, okay.
All right. So when you live with someone who is an opposite personality, because I am a person who loves to go through and find the treasures and bless them, give them to somebody else,
Yep.
but my spouse is not.
Yep.
So what do you do to find a way to make that work better or easier?
Yeah, it's a really good question. When I met my husband, Michael, we were complete opposites. I was like, the thin out girl, and he was he just kept everything. The best thing we did, number one, I stopped trying to change him. I instead focused on me. And here's a little trick. We'll keep this between us. What I started doing was I started specifically saying things to Michael like, it's amazing how when I let go of stuff, better things come into my life. Like that was kind of the story I kept saying. It's amazing how when I let go of clutter, better thing. Oh, and then I would back it up with evidence. Like a week later, I'd go, honey, you're not going to believe this. I went through the first drawer of my filing cabinet and got rid of all the files I don't need. And I got 2 new clients this week. Isn't that amazing? That's all I would say, right? Or, oh my God, honey, you're not going to believe this. I cleaned out the nightstand. I had so many books in my nightstand. I cleaned out all of those books. Do you know that I got an unexpected check for $150 today from my grandmother? And, it's funny how that works. Like when you let go of things, and I'm telling you, it worked. Like, a good year or so later, he would say things to me like, I've really got to get rid of some things because there's some new things I'd like to bring into my life. And I thought, ding. Second thing I would say though, Jennifer, is I made it clear to him that I could not live in clutter. Like I was not going to be a good person to live with. I would be a chronic bitch. It's just how it was going to be. So he had an office that was his own. And I said to him, what you do in that office, that room is your business. I won't go into it. I won't go through anything. I won't bug you about it. I don't care if it's so full you can't open the door. You just can't do it in the common living spaces. And he agreed to that. And over time, what happened was he got sick of himself because his office got so cluttered. I mean, he had a closet that literally, if you open the door, like you'd see on the TV, like everything would just come falling out. And one day he said, enough is enough. And now he will actually yell at me if I leave dishes in the sink. And I laugh. I think, look at what's happened. I'm leaving dishes in the sink to try and teach myself, Natalie, I think it was you, to try and teach, I don't know if it was Natalie or someone else, but to try and teach myself, Anna, yeah, Anna, thank you. I leave dishes in the sink to teach myself to just relax. And he's saying, we got to get them out of get them out of the sink. So I laugh at how things change. So I hope that's helpful.
Yes.
This gives me an opportunity to say this as well. And I didn't say this earlier. Remember, I said there was something I wanted to say. Hoarding is not a clutter issue. It's a mental health issue. It's really important to know that when somebody, I think it was Boston College or Boston University had a multi-week recovery from hoarding program led by psychologists. And early on, I learned that that is not something, you can't hire a professional organizer for somebody. You can't poke and prod them. They actually need support. And getting a social worker in that specializes in hoarding would be the most loving thing you could do for anybody. So you have to keep the boundaries around your space, Jennifer. Like you need to claim this is common living area or this is my side of the bed or whatever. I'm going to be much easier to be around if we have more. And you're going to have to be very firm with that boundary for a good 6 to 12 months.
Good to know.
Okay.
Good to know.
All
I
right.
like the idea of sharing when I get rid of this stuff, the good things that come into my life and setting that example of when I've done this, then this happens. So I really like that a lot. So thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. It works. And it's true, by the way, people. Just you'll start to notice as you let go of things, better things show up in your life. And I don't mean things, literally. I just mean opportunities, like a lot of better things show up. Okay, let's see if we can fit in a couple more. Deborah. Hi, Deborah. I'm asking you to unmute. I know, I feel like Zoom changes things all the time, so it's hard to know. Okay, you be looking for it, Deborah, and I'm going to go to Rhonda and I'll come back to you. Rhonda, I'm going to ask you to unmute.
Hi.
There you go. Hi. How you doing?
I'm pretty good with clutter, but the one thing that really encroaches on my mind is the aspirational clutter, which means, like, for example, at one point I realized I had 3 or 4 amazing salad chopper things that they would chop things different ways that I never took out of the box. And then I bought a salad spinner, and then I saw somebody had one of these big bowls with a chopper where you go like this. So I bought that. Then and I eat salad all the time, but you can just eat a salad without any equipment. And and then I have like some hobbies. I got all the equipment for a certain hobby, and I never did it. So I mean, I think that part of it is like a total mystery, how I keep on.
Okay, so let me see if I can help you with that. First of all, I love that you brought up aspirational clutter, and I blame Martha Stewart for a lot of this. Okay, I'm just going to say it out loud. Martha Stewart, was the person for me. Like anytime I would watch her show, I'd think, oh, I want to have pretty napkins and napkin rings, and I'm going to buy like a china set for 12. I have never had 12 people. I mean, maybe 3 times I've had 12 people at my house for dinner. I think it's really important when we look at aspirational clutter in that way to look at what's the soul longing for that it's not getting. It's kind of similar to when we just spoke about holding on to those things, that evoke memories. What's the soul longing for that it's not getting, Rhonda? And the things that we buy hold clues. Like, I'm going to make this up, but if I'm buying a lot of like kitchen items related to food, is my soul longing for healthier eating or wonderful Epicurean experiences of meals? What is it that's really going on here? Much like we can go back to the past and get a hit of a good, beautiful memory, which prevents us from making more now. I feel like aspirational clutter can also be like that, where it's speaking to what we long for. I mean, I will tell you, for me, with Martha Stewart at the time, and now Megan with Love on Netflix, if any of you have seen that show, I actually like that because I feel less pressure with Megan. Meghan Markle's doing this really quite beautiful show about cooking and bringing beauty. I mean, I happen to really like it. But this time, Rhonda, I choose to not buy anything unless I'm actually going to do something with it that day. So if I'm going to make lavender towels, I will go out and buy the towels that morning and make them that night for a specific reason. You see, when we purchase aspirational things, we're living in the future, we're not present. And that's the other thing to pay attention to. Like, oh, I keep living in the future, which then as a coach makes me ask, what about your present day isn't working for you? The soul is longing for something else. So those are some things to just think about. How about that? Okay, great. Thank you. Deborah. Oh, I'm so sorry. I just hit mute by mistake. Can you go ahead and unmute yourself again now that you know how to do it?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Sorry. One thing I want to mention is that, well, I'm living in a very small apartment. It's like I'm in year 4. I call it a shoebox, but it's very nice. And this is good for now. But I've started to go around because I just kind of threw things in the closets that I have, that I'm starting to go through and pull them out and start to sell things on Poshmark and Marketplace.
Great.
But I go around. I mean, I still need to do a lot of things you mentioned with the sentimental but I go through and I pick up, my intention was to do clothing, but I start going around with other things and that I don't really want to get rid of. I'm like, yeah, but if I could get $20 for this, I could part with it. So I just posted on Poshmark and Marketplace, and it's helping incentivize.
Let things go.
Yes.
That's
Though-
great. I love
But I
that.
do like to thrift, and that's dangerous. But I go in, I get my little thrill of going around, walking around Goodwill or whatever, but it's not for me. It's like,
Yeah, you know what? You also want to look at that. Thrift for other people.
eh,
Find,
that's what I'm doing. But then
no, 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 but
that started to get out of hand, and I'm like,
oh,
okay, you need to slow down because now I've got 4 little boxes in back of my closet.
oh
I'm
no,
like,
but no, that's not what I mean. That's not what I
oh,
mean.
okay.
I mean, you can take other people with you to the thrift store who need clothes and shop,
Oh,
but you don't get to buy things for other people.
I got you. So, but it's kind of like a balance, and I'm like, okay, no, you need to stick with the stuff that's in your house and stop buying any more to sell.
You know, listen, there's some people, I have friends who love to buy secondhand things and sell them. If you're going to do that, I mean, remember the IRS says you have to make a profit 3 out of 5 years. I mean, if you show a loss 3 out of 5 years, it's a hobby, not a business. And if it's a hobby, you better get a lot of joy and you better be re-thrifting and, re-gifting things as a
Yeah,
result of that. But thank you.
yeah.
Yeah, that's one of the ways you can inspire yourself is by selling the things that you don't want. If you all are okay, I'm going to go over just a few minutes. Terry, are you okay with that? Okay, great. I'm going to go over a few minutes and we're recording the whole thing. The recording always goes up on the website within 24 hours. So if you have to leave, don't worry. But Christina, let's go. Oh, actually, Terry, can you do me a favor too? My sister Carrie has written 2 really good books on clutter. She understands clutter and she's actually helped me, especially with some of the sentimental stuff. Maybe Terry, I don't know how easy it is. If you could find the blog that I wrote, I think it was last year. If you look for Kerri's name, Kerri, you'll find it in the search because she really helped me with some of the stuff that was valuable and sentimental. And it made a huge difference. So if we could put her 2 books in the chat, Cheryl Richardson is her name. She's a great, yeah, Kerri does rock. She's a really great coach. She's like the perfect person to hire if you want to make clutter clearing your project for the next year. And her books are incredibly helpful. They've been very helpful to me. So, okay. Where was I? Christina, was I going to you, dear? Yes, I'm asking you to unmute. There you go.
Hi, Cheryl. Hi, everyone. I'm a little embarrassed about what I'm going to share, but
Okay, we're all going to beam you love right now. This-
okay.
lots of love.
So I think I'm still in like high school girl rebellion against my mother with my clutter. Okay, my mother was like everything had to be
Mm,
um, perfect, and she was from Germany, and I happen to live in my childhood home. We've talked before.
yeah,
So I think there's a part of me that is still rebelling against my mother, but as I look at it more, because she is now gone,
yeah,
I'm angry at her for being gone. I
yeah,
think there is a lot of grief
yeah.
attached to the clutter, and who am I now?
Yes. So here's what I'd say to you, Christina. Um, I think always think of internal family systems type therapy, right? Which looks at the different parts in us. A really great exercise that I use when I feel stuck about something or triggered by something or unable to move forward in some way is I take out my journal and I write the line, a part of me feels as it relates to the topic that you're talking about. And so it would be something like a part of me feels rebellious against my mother who made me keep everything in order, and then just continue writing from there. And you get to a part of me is really angry at my mother. I'm angry for the way she made me put things, and now I'm angry that she's gone. Anger is a normal part of the grief process. I'm still pissed at my friend Eileen for dying last February. Like, what the hell? I can't believe like she left me and that she hasn't given me like a very valid sign. I know it's a normal part of grief, right? So give some attention to that part. Don't jump the gun and try to get rid of things yet. And this is something Carrie talks about as well. She's really good with that. You need to really journal and discover what's going on here that might be keeping me stuck. Mine for the gold, like let all the stuff you want to get rid of serve you in some way by helping you get in touch with what's going on with your mother. And then do yourself a favor and get into therapy with a really good therapist and do some work around your mother. And then you
Yeah,
might,
I can't believe it's still going on, but it's true. I have like all the stuff, the clutter from the past and the aspirational clutter, and it's like,
yeah,
okay, but who am I now?
okay, but
Right?
yes. Well,
Yeah.
yeah. And please, everybody, when stuff keeps going on, and you haven't gotten any external help, then you have to remember your best thinking got you here. It's not going to get you out of here. We can't grow without some kind of outside intervention. I could be wrong, but I don't think so. That's one thing I think I really know. And I would look for somebody specifically. We talked about this before, I think.
Right, I know we did. And I never reached out to you. Yeah, I
Dust
know.
off and do something about it. This is your life we're talking about, Christina.
I know this was an excellent call today. I'm really appreciative.
I'm glad, but will you please like look for somebody who specializes in grief so you can really honor the parts of you that are longing to grieve your mother. And then I bet you $100 would find Christina at some local dump with a giant dumpster in front of her, throwing shit in that dumpster, screaming and yelling at her mother, which would be
No, that's the thing. I feel like I have to monetize. So that's the other hurdle. So the Poshmark woman, like, okay, at some point I'm just gonna have to like just let it go and
That's
not.
why, Terry, were you able to just shake your head? Did you find that blog I wrote about Carrie? Um,
Yeah.
okay, so make sure you check out the chat, Christina. Either, when it gets to transcript on the website, you'll see it. Same thing. Listen, whatever valuable stuff you have that you could donate and allow somebody who needs to eat to buy it, think of this as freeing yourself up so that you can figure out who you really are before you die. How about that? Wouldn't that be awesome?
Yeah, no, I think it's an acceptance of mortality. Yeah, that's part of this.
Well, that's
Yeah.
part of it too. And we'll be doing a Zoom gathering on death very soon. Don't you
Oh
worry.
boy.
Put a tune in
Okay.
for that one.
Okay, thank you so much.
You're very welcome. You're very welcome. Okay, Peg. Hi, Peg. There you go. Look at you,
Hi.
master
I,
unmuted.
I have a couple of things. Thank you. This has been wonderful. I lived in the home that I raised my kids in for 25 years. And when I moved, I couldn't part with everything going to a smaller place. So I put it in storage. And
Yeah.
about 6 months after I did that, one day I said to myself, I wonder what's in that storage bin. I couldn't even think about what was in there except a couch, which was hard to forget. And so I went down and looked everything over and thought, I don't need or want a single thing in here. And I'm spending $90 a month to keep it stored. So I got rid of it all. My son was in college and he took the couch and everything else went in the land, not the landfill, but the swap shop.
I love it. I love it.
Then the other thing is I was carrying around, one of my brothers died at a young age. He was in his early 40s and he died of AIDS. And so it was very difficult for all of us. And I had this big glass structure that had been his, and I moved once I left my original home where I raised my kids. I moved 4 or 5 times, and the last time I moved, I looked at that and I thought, maybe it's time to let it go. Because every time I looked at it, I would miss my brother. And so, in getting rid of it, I just made a decision that I was going to hold him in my heart instead of in this glass structure. And I let it go. I brought it to a thrift shop, and it just felt so liberating to do that.
Well, that's a really good example. Thank you very much, Peg, for that. That's a really good example of how there are certain items that we all hang on to that are taking so much energy from us that we don't even realize. And this is where the power of ritual when it comes to grieving comes in. The dumpster throwing that I mentioned to Christina is an example of a ritual. Being able to take something that represents someone you love and deciding, I am going to do something as a formal ritual. It could be that I'm going to invite a very dear friend of mine to go to the thrift store with me. I'm going to tell the story of this item to the people who are taking it, and then I'm going to release it and, go do something to honor my loved one, something that kind of closes that door and, just like you said, puts that loved one in our heart, because they're only a conversation away, right? All we need to do is speak to them, and I do believe they're always with us. So thank you for that beautiful story, Peg. I appreciate it. Okay, Pat, I think you're going to need to be my last one. I'm so sorry, Linda and Susie. But hopefully what Pat asks will help the both of you. Let's hope. Hi.
Okay, can you hear me okay?
I can hear you just fine.
Okay, mine's going to be pretty quick. I was writing down a lot of your notes here, my notes on you. The question I had was the nervous system regulation book,
Yes.
and there were some past Zooms and stuff, but the nervous system regulation was of real interest to me. Do you remember the name of that book?
I do. I don't know if Terry put it in the it's
Okay.
I think it's the nervous system workbook. It's by Deb D-E-B Dana D-A-N-A.
Okay.
It will go in the chat if it's not there already. And if you go to CherylRichardson.com, right on the homepage, you'll see the link to these Zoom gatherings. You
Okay.
can find all of them there. All of
Okay.
them. Terry's like so brilliant with like the resources, the chat transcripts.
Okay.
There's only one. Oh, and Anchored by Deb Dana is another very good book. I like the workbook because it actually gets you knowing your own nervous system right away.
Right. Okay.
There's only one chat that's missing, and that's the Diane Darling, which, Diane, are you here? I bet you are here. And I'm wondering, let me see, Diane. I'm wondering, Diane, if I don't see you, maybe she's left. Hopefully she put something in the chat about connecting with people, because a lot of people wanted to connect with her, but I took that chat transcript off because there were email addresses in there. But the rest of the informative ones are available, and there's some really good ones. There's a lot of good information, so I would encourage you to check that out.
And that person's name was Diane Darling?
Nope. Oh,
Oh.
that was Diane Darling. Yes, she was a participant in the last Zoom gathering.
Okay.
Who was looking to connect with other people. So
Thanks.
yeah.
Thank you.
Anyway.
Appreciate this great meeting.
Yeah, good. You're very welcome. Thank you all. I'm so appreciative that you show up. So now we know the game rules. Next week, you make a commitment, you find some area and I'm going to say, rather than it be the person who gets rid of the most, because that's so subjective at this point, it could be that you get rid of one thing that you've held on forever that is sucking all your energy, and that could be meaningful. But Terry's brilliant, and she's going to pick the 5 people, and it'll be kind of like a fun random game. So next Wednesday, 3:00, clutter clearing in the wisdom years as part of our Exploring the Wisdom Years series here, if you will. Let's see how well you do between now and then. Remember, it has to leave your home. It doesn't count if it's anywhere on your property. Okay? All right. Thank you, everybody. Have a great week and good luck. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.